Welcome back. So last screencast we just learned that we develop language as a tool, mainly so that we can learn to communicate. And utterance carries an agreed upon meaning. In English, the sound refers to the sound. Cat refers to an object, an animal, that we have agreed upon that should represent that. This meaning is shared, and it's shared with at least two people, and it's usually shared within a social experience, within a group. So we know that language is a tool that helps us communicate with other people, and other people who share that same idea, those same ways of thinking. Second, language becomes the tool that represents our natural world. Instead of pointing at a tree, we can create a word that represents tree or banana or the color green or yellow. Language allows us to speak of things that are not physically near us. So if I'm in a desert, but I can use a word that refers to an object that is absent from that place. I can use the word water to refer to something that is not there. Language also allows us to label actions like walking or sleeping or eating or talking. By labeling these actions, I can think of these things in points of time, as in the present, something I am doing now, or in the past, something I did, or in the future, something I will do. This later has far-ranging implications for learning. And it actually leads us to our third point about language. Language does something much more powerful than just represent our world or allows us to communicate. The third and most powerful thing it can do is to represent things that don't exist, or at least not yet. Language is the tool that can represent abstract ideas. On the plains of Africa, early humans can use language to extend their thinking beyond the things within their environment, beyond the things that they can see and touch. Early humans can create things for their environment. They can engage in high-order thinking. They can do things like plan or argue, or they can invent tools. They can create not only tools, but constructs, ideas that can lead to new ideas. So they can lead to concepts such as God, or religion, or imagination, or intelligence. Do I have him? Here we go. These are all abstract concepts that were allowed to be developed because of our collaboration with others and because we use language to give meaning to these abstract ideas. These ideas do not exist in the natural world. They come together through, they are created through the interactions of people, a group of people coming together, and to say that this is something that we mean, this is important to us. Here's an example. Einstein created the theory of relativity. Sure, Einstein is known as the person who created it, but it is a social construct because his ideas are essentially elaborations and extensions of other people's ideas. In other words, his ideas did not come in isolation, but they actually come because of these ideas that had preceded him. Here's another example. We just got finished talking about lesson planning. Well, the ability to plan is based on this idea of collaboration with others. What does it mean to be able to do things that we haven't done yet? To speculate on activities that we are not yet engaging in? You need language acting as a tool to allow you to imagine, to think, to speculate, to predict what you might be doing in the future. In short, language allows us to perceive what we see and experience. Language allows us to communicate those ideas, those images and experiences to others. But more importantly, language allows us to extend our natural world. By working with others, we can conceive of things that don't yet exist. So that's pretty powerful. Here's another thing that language does. Language mediates our thinking. Language has an interesting impact on us. It mediates our thinking in very interesting ways. In short, our perceptions are guided and filtered through the language we speak. This is kind of a hard thing to realize, especially if you're like me, a monolingual person. If you are bilingual or multilingual, you probably are much more aware of how language can shape how you see the world. Here's my little example that I can best give you. I'm going to give you two, but here's my personal example. So my family, my husband and my children speak Russian. And I've tried to learn Russian, but I'm by no means fluent in the language. But in English, we use the word to go to refer to things that we're about to go to. So like we can say, we go shopping, we can go to the shopping, to the movie, to the room next door. We can do all those things. But in Russian, there is a word for to go, but they have different words for depending on the action. So they would have to go by walking, to go by driving, or to go by plane. So there are these, they're all to go, but they're variations to imply walking, going by driving, or going by plane or some long distance way. Their language makes the distinction in how a person goes. Our language don't put forth the effort into making the distinction. Our culture, it seems to suggest that our culture believes that the journey is not so important what the journey is, but the destination is more important. In Russian, the destination and the journey are important. Do you get that? So in English, the journey is not so important. We emphasize the destination. I'm going to the store. Store is more important. But in Russian, how you get there is almost as important as the destination. So here's another example. Himba people in Namibia have greater difficulty discriminating between the color blue and the color green. And so people have noted this, and they wanted to know why are they not able to distinguish between these two colors? And they looked in to see if it were because of a physiological issue, and that's not it. Their eyes and their brains are the same as any other normal human. The difference lies into the difference lies into the activity that they use and the language that comes from that activity. Their social activity does not call for the need to distinguish between these two colors. So they're living out in their area of Namibia, and there's really no blue in their environment. So there's no need to develop a word to describe something that doesn't exist. They can, however, discriminate between different shades of green at a faster rate than Western cultures. To learn more about this very interesting group of people, I've put a link on the website that you can go and take a look. It's about 7-minute video and explains it. And in particular, they are leading to this idea that language mediates human thinking. So language is a tool that can shape our perceptions, even the colors that we see in our environment. Very interesting. So here, I have a question for you. Do you speak another language? Do you have examples of how language mediates our thinking? How the words that we use kind of shape our perceptions of the world? So if you do, bring those to class. We'll talk about them. So I'm going to stop the screencast here, pick up on and other issues related to language. Okay.